need to know you're the only one, alright, alright. And you need to know that you keep me up all night, all night. Oh, my heart hurts so good, but I love you, babe, so bad, so bad. Yeah, my heart hurts so good, I love you, babe, so bad, so bad.
John F. Kennedy said too often, we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. Welcome back to Morning Coffee. My name is Rick Alexander and I host the Morning Coffee podcast. We hear a lot about discomfort these days, and it's something that has become over-publicized in our lives, and not because the value of discomfort is overstated, but because when you say something so many times, it begins to lose its value, right? It's kind of like if you try to leave yourself a reminder somewhere, like maybe a quote or something like that. Let's say you put it on your bathroom mirror. It works for a couple days, right? You see it, you notice it, maybe you stop, meditate on it for a second, but eventually it just blends in with the background of your life. And that's what I think discomfort has done in the sort of growth industry, motivation industry, whatever you want to call it. It seems like everywhere people talk about discomfort, and we really don't talk about why or what. So what I wanted to do today is talk about, well, what is it about discomfort that specifically works for us in our growth process? And then how can that go wrong? And so I'm going to start by talking a little bit about how the brain works. Some of you know some of this and some of you don't. And then move into the role of discomfort and how we can use it to better ourselves. Because when you get uncomfortable, your mind gets put in a position where it feels like it has to restore order. That's the goal of the mind, is always to restore order. That's why you add a narrative to everything, because you want to understand it. And so the brain can't function without order, because a part of you will always be stuck there reconfiguring the picture until it's satisfied if you don't have order in your mind. This is what happens when we get stuck on a breakup, or even when some dream doesn't work out. Like let's say we get fired or something. Doesn't matter what it is. We don't move on because our mind can't. It truly just doesn't have permission to, while it hasn't found a suitable answer for all of the disarray that you're in, whatever that might be. And so you know when you're in a position where you've lost coherence because some part of you is never present. And in anybody that's gone through a breakup, even like months go by and it's still some part of you isn't present. You're always stuck in the past trying to solve that problem, which is okay at first. But you have to think, eventually, your problems right now are going to require your effort. If you could reclaim the mental energy you're diverting to the past, how much better could you make right now? That's actually worth finding out for yourself. Like if you really could bring all of your thoughts back to the present, you'd free up a lot of bandwidth to solve present problems. And that would be huge. But if you can remember your brain works this way, you can use it to your advantage. The goal is to put yourself in uncomfortable situations only to the degree that your mind can process and adopt. Understand that this is where humans find their stride. We're essentially thrown into this world with no inherent skill, except for being adaptable. We scan for information, we see what we need, and then our physiology comes into alignment with the mind, and things are good. All of this talk about discomfort lately, and it's easy to forget that growth is actually far more nuanced than that, right? You cannot just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and assume that you're going to grow. If you put yourself in a scenario where you're so outside of what you know, you'll outpace your brain's ability to keep up, truly. And when that happens, growth gets slowed or stopped because now your brain can no longer capitulate what is happening in your life. And so this is why sudden change fucks us up so bad. If we're super happy and go from 100 to 0, like when we're fired or dumped, you can see why our brains need a minute. And so they're scanning for what happened. And if you don't figure it out soon, or you don't come to terms with it or come to peace with it, then part of you will always be back there. Now, it's a little more nuanced than this and some of the stuff we work through in the Clarity Academy, but this is essentially what your brain's going through. So here you can see the art is the process of discomfort and growth. Because if you go too far, you'll pass the place where adaptation can occur. Now, if you stay right where you are, the stimulus for growth doesn't exist, right? And you know that. You're not uncomfortable enough. You don't have to grow to become comfortable in that area. And so the goal through the natural ebb and flow through life is to get better at maintaining an environment that you can grow in, or even knowing the season you're in and then what's required. That's like next level up. Because sometimes if we push for a while, we'll grow, but then it's time to consolidate gains for a bit and just get adapted to your new level of growth. When I got out of the military, I had a huge learning curve of really going all in on my business and my writing, my speaking. And so I spent about 6 months in that area. And then I just had to consolidate gains, right? Because it was so much so fast. And I was like, I'm going to outpace myself. Like, I need to slow down. I need to appreciate. I need to enjoy. Like, what is the season in your life calling? Because if it's not calling for discomfort, then don't go after it, because you're going to make yourself miserable. Because if you find yourself in chaos because you went too far and you're not adapting, you're just suffering, then think about how you can close that gap a little. And that looks like getting a coach, reading, learning, getting a mentor, just uncover more variables to ease the growth, right? So you're not in such chaos. Like, so maybe you start a business and then you realize, oh shit, I went too far, right? Well, that's why you get a coach, because they're saying, no, you didn't. Here, let me just give you a couple things to think about, a couple variables. You can start putting this picture together in your mind a little bit quicker, and you won't have to spend so long stuck in disarray. Right? So you can find this balance. If you go too far into the unknown, you can find this balance by getting people and things and mentors and open source information to bring it back, to bring yourself back into that area where you actually are uncomfortable but can adapt. So with this understanding, the question then becomes, based on your life path, what is your current season asking you for? If you're in a rut, your life is asking for an adventure. In lieu of an adventure, we tend to anesthetize ourselves. So if you find yourself drinking a lot or using drugs or using something to numb yourself, maybe working out, running like crazy, well, then maybe you're in a rut. You're in a season of your life that's asking you to answer a new call to adventure, right? A lot of times we use anesthetics in lieu of adventure in our lives. But if you're in constant struggle, you need to give your mind new and more info so that it can use to adapt. This is the role of professional development that I was just talking about. So understand that leveling up is that process of continuously holding the balance between chaos and order. If you stay where you are, of course you don't change. If you go too far, then your brain will be stuck in whatever that is, and you won't be able to adapt. So you have to find the right stimulus, just like in fitness, it's going to allow you to adapt without going overboard and just wrecking you and giving you rhabdo, right? And so that's the deal with discomfort. That's why it helps. That's why it matters. And so understand how your brain is looking at discomfort, and then you can give yourself what you actually need in order to grow, or for whatever this season calls for life. Look, every season does not call for growth. I'm probably one of the most growth-minded individuals that I know, and every season cannot be about growth because I'll get exhausted, I'll be burnt out, whatever. So just understand where you're at, what this current season is, and then ask yourself in the process of discomfort, like, what does my life really need from me right now? Like right now, what my life needs of me is to go to the beach. So I'm out. I love you guys. We'll talk tomorrow on Morning Coffee.
Well, I don't know, but the story goes, if you never slow down and you never go, well, there's a great big world just waiting to be whole, but you're still lying around, and the days fly by like a cloudy sky, and you're glued to the TV, never blinking an eye, and the world will keep changing, time passing you by, but you're just waiting to die. So won't you come outside? There's a beautiful world just waiting for you. No, it might seem like it's all just a waste of time sometimes, but you gotta decide, are you really alive, or are you just waiting to die? Just waiting to die. Once, well then I told you twice, you never win a gun battle if you're bringing a knife, and the truth, it doesn't hurt if it's spelled out right, but it's just too easy to give up the fight, to just place the blame, scream the name, point the crooked finger, it's all the same. It's just a dirty little game that we keep playing, full of dirty little lies and a dirty little brains, and it's hard to maintain when we're locked away. Time to open up the door and come out to play, because the sun's in the sky and it's a beautiful day. The world is wide open, hey, what do you say now? Won't you come outside? Well, there's a beautiful world and it's waiting for you. time sometimes, but you gotta decide. Are you really alive, or are you just waiting to die? Won't you come outside? Well, there's a beautiful world and it's waiting for you. And I know it might seem like it's all just a waste of time sometimes, but you gotta decide. Are you really alive, or are you just waiting to die? Just waiting to die. And I said, won't you come outside? Well, there's a beautiful world and it's waiting for you. And I know it might seem like it's all just a waste of time sometimes, but you gotta decide. Are you really alive, or are you just waiting to die? Waiting to die.